Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 259 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by the former heavyweight world title challenger, the man himself. It is of course Mr. Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, my man. How are you?
All good. Always good whenever speaking with you, as I always say. There's a lot to go over here, so I'm gonna take my time with the review part. There's a lot to go into. There's quite a lot of different places to visit, etc. So I want to jump into that in just a moment. I just want to say I completely forgot to mention it, but last week's podcast was actually our 5-year anniversary. Obviously, we started doing this in September 2015. Last week was the 5-year anniversary, which I completely forgot to mention on the podcast. I tweeted about it, but just for those that don't know, it's 5 years in a week this week, and it was a good show last week. It was good to sit down and have an in-depth interview with Scott Quigg, which was really interesting. Obviously a guy that's been a world champion, now happily retired. About an hour long the interview was as well, so if you haven't checked that out, you can go back and listen to that. Anyway, let's leave that there. Let's get straight into the reviewing. We're going to start here with a card that took place in Mexico at the Grand Hotel in Tijuana. Actually, this is quite a crazy one. Firstly, on the undercard, we saw some kind of exhibition bout between Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. I don't know if you've seen any clips of that, Eddie.
No, I did not. Yeah. I didn't even know it happened.
Chavez Senior on the undercard in an exhibition fight. As it was an exhibition, I don't really know what happened. I didn't see it. But the main event, it was Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. topping the bill. No surprise. But there was a surprise with the outcome. He took on a guy that was undefeated, Mario Cazares, who was 11-0, and Cazares pulled off the upset win. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. loses a technical decision. He was cut, Chavez, on his left eye. It was an accidental head clash. The doctor stopped the contest. It went to the scorecards, and Mario Cazares, never heard of him before. He's now 12-0, and He's got a win over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., which is quite unbelievable. It was even a card being promoted by the Julio Cesar Chavez Factory, which is the promotional outfit behind Chavez Jr. So, unbelievable outcome there in Mexico. Moving out now to another part of Mexico. This one took place in the Grupo Sipsi in Merida in Yucatan. One fighter to mention over here, he was a real good amateur. I haven't really taken much notice of him as a professional. He's European, he's Eastern European. I think he could be from... I'm not quite sure. I don't want to speculate on the country. I forgot for now. But a good amateur. I think he boxed in the World Series of Boxing. Sergei Baranchyk. He's now 18-0 with 18 KOs. He's a 154 fighter. He's looking for the big names apparently at 154. And he got a win against a Mexican guy called Alejandro Davila, who's now 21-2 with 2 draws. Baranchyk knocked him out in he made his opponent retire on his stool after 6 rounds. That one was for the WBC Continental America's Super Welterweight title. So Baranchyk perhaps one to look out for in the future. 18-0, 18 KOs. Anyway, moving out now to Denmark. Heavyweight action over here. A good win for the Olympic bronze medalist Filip Hrgović. He's now 11-0, a KO for him in 2 rounds against Alexander Kotozia, who's now 8-2 with a draw. That one was at the Struer Arena in Denmark. Moving out now to Germany, the World Boxing Super Series Cruiserweight Final. Funny enough, it was only for one belt. It was for the IBF World Cruiserweight title, but, you know, since Usyk moved up to heavyweight and fragmented the titles, it's been a bit of a free-for-all. There's guys that hold belts that I couldn't even tell you their name right now, but everyone kind of knows these two are the real deal. These two are the two best, Doutikos and Maris Bradis. After 12 rounds, it ended in a majority decision in favour of Maris Bradis. He's now 27-1, and Doutikos is 24-2. You know, Maris Bradis, you know, the Latvian fighter, takes the Muhammad Ali trophy back to Riga, where he's from. But a good win for him in Germany. It was great to get to see it on Sky Sports over here in the UK. Very tactical fight, you know, the concentration that you could just see on Bradis' face said it all. He couldn't afford to make a mistake against a puncher like Doutikos. Real high level stuff through the first early rounds kind of thing, the first 2-3 rounds. It was close early on, really. The third round, both men started to trade a little bit. Bradis definitely got the better of the trading. He's such a thinking fighter. He seemed to know when to commit fully and when not to. Like I say, very, very tactical fight. Close rounds early on. In the kind of latter half of the fight, I felt like the second half especially, Bradis started to really pick his shots excellently. Pick them at the right time, like I say, and the right shots. He was getting the better pretty much of all of the trading, and for me was, controlling the fight completely. The final round, it clashed with the Josh Taylor fight, which I'm going to get onto, but just after everything, I didn't really score it properly. Like I say, the early rounds were quite close, but then, as the fight wore on, I really felt Bradis seemed to pull away. And there's been talk about him possibly retiring as well after that career best win. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I've only heard, I think it was the Sky pundits talking about it, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen that anywhere else, so I'm hoping they've made a mistake there because, he's just on the cusp, if you like, of making, even more waves, I guess. Perhaps not at cruiserweight, maybe even at heavyweight. I don't know. He is the main man, though, it would seem, at cruiser now. Doesn't mean that Doutikos can't come back. There's still so many good fights for him out there. Moving out now to Latvia at the Studio 69 in Riga, we got to see Ricards Bolotniks 16-5 with a draw going in against our very own Hosea Burton, 25-1. It was for the WBO European Light Heavyweight title, and it was the semi-final of the MTK Golden Contract Tournament. We didn't know too much about Bolotniks apart from the fact that he stopped Stephen Ward in a round. Hosea Burton, for me, the more proven of the two for sure. Shocking though, shocking. Tyson Fury actually got on a plane. He was there ringside in Latvia, which was quite amazing to see because they had a crowd, which was really kind of weird in this current climate, having a crowd ringside and stuff like that. And Tyson Fury's there, just a giant standing out to support his cousin Hosea. However, Hosea ended up losing a pretty lopsided fight, really. A unanimous decision in the end over 10 rounds. Hosea Burton, he just didn't show any urgency in the fight. It was very much one-paced. He seemed to be stuck in first gear. Bolotniks, for me, isn't even that great of a fighter. Burton's only loss, obviously, as we know, was a fight he was winning and then he got caught. Whereas this fight here was a shocker, It was pretty much a beat-down. It had never happened to him in the past. I've never seen him, getting beaten up like that, and with all his pedigree and promise and all what I said about him on last week's show, I was really bigging him up. I think he's now about 32 years of age. I can't see him going on for much longer, since that loss for the British title to Buglioni, it's been 4 years of him pretty much fighting a list of nobodies, and if he goes back to British level based on that performance, there's there's a heap of guys I can see beating him. Even Lyndon Arthur, I think, Anthony Yard, Josh Boatzy, all those types of guys. I wouldn't mind seeing him in there with like a Dex Spellman, and I think it's a tough position he finds himself in because he hasn't had it easy by any stretch. I think he's been somewhat avoided, and things just haven't gone to plan for him. But losing a fight like that to a guy like Bolotniks, I don't know where he goes from here. That's why I'm saying I think he could be perhaps on his way out the door, which would be really unfortunate. It's almost like he hasn't fulfilled his promise. I don't think. I think he could have achieved great things. You never know, though. I think his best hopes probably is perhaps getting the winner of Shakan Pitters and Craig Richards, if he can land that shot for the British title once again. But I'm not sure he beats either of those, to be honest. Based on that, it was a real bad performance from him. But leaving it there anyway. Sad to see. Moving out now to the York Hall in Bethnal Green, London, United Kingdom. Let's start with the very top of this card here. Josh Taylor now 17-0. A KO in the first round against Apinun Khongsong, his mandatory, who was undefeated himself going in 16-0. It was, of course, for Josh Taylor's 2 world titles, the WBA and IBF World Super-Lightweight titles. Khongsong, in the end, knocked out by a strange kind of shot, really, to his body. Very quick night's work for Josh Taylor. It was a left hand to the body. It was a straight shot. It didn't look like much, but apparently, he said it afterwards, he felt the shot go right through his opponent, and the Thai fighter stayed down on the canvas for over 5 minutes. In the end, he couldn't even really... he couldn't even really stand up without grimacing. And I've never seen... Well, I probably have seen it happen, but I can't remember in recent times. He actually laid on the floor. He was standing up for a while, then he laid on the floor and rolled over into a stretcher that they kind of had at the same level as the canvas. He rolled into the stretcher, and he was in agony for several minutes after the fight. So it's mad because the shot didn't look like much, and of course we're going to get onto it. But the fight, the one of the Charlos against Rosario, that it was a similar kind of shot. I think it was even less of a big shot than the Charlo one. That's what it seemed like anyway, even with the replays and especially in real time. Moving down that card, we got to see David Oliver Joyce. He was such a great amateur, but it just doesn't seem to be going to plan as a professional. He was actually TKO'd in round 3 against Iron Up Baluta, who's now 14-2. Joyce was down in the 3rd round prior to the stoppage. That one was for the WBO European Super Bantamweight title. David Oliver Joyce, 12-2 now as a pro. It's just all gone wrong for him. Charlie Edwards picked up a win, his first fight under the Frank Warren stable. He's now 16-1, a points win for him against Carl Williams over 10 rounds there. It ended up being 9 rounds to 1 on the referee Bob Williams scorecard. Moving out now, though, to the Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut, USA. I'm going to come to you first here, Eddie. Obviously, Showtime pay-per-view. There's no way you paid the pay-per-view. How did you watch it, by the way?
I watched it with my man, Coach Ant. A little bit of it anyway. Yeah, that's my man. But one of my good friends. But yeah, we watched some of the card. Actually, I missed most of the fights. I actually was ready for the main event, basically, is when I actually started to watch it. But I seen like little clips and little parts of the other fights, but really was able to finally sit down and actually watch the Charlo fight. The Jermell Charlo fight against Banana, which is a crazy name, but the fight itself wasn't bad. You know what I mean? I thought that Jason Rosario, I thought he was doing really well early on. I think his style, his plan, it was similar to what I can't remember his name right now. No, not J-Rock. When the fight that Jamel fought with Tony Harrison, his style was actually similar to what Tony Harrison did to Jamel Charlo. You know, he was kind of walking him down and giving him some different looks. You know, starting with the jab periodically. He should have been using the jab more, to be honest. But the walk down thing with a puncher like him, it could be dangerous. But if you put him in a situation where he's looking for just that one big shot because you're too busy, and he was actually being really busy, I just don't think he has the same boxing ability that Tony Harrison did, obviously. But his punching power was really what I thought was going to really carry the night, and it just didn't affect Charlo as much as you would have thought. And even though I saw some clinching, some early clinches coming from Charlo when the pressure got to be a lot, which was smart, strategic stuff. You're supposed to you're supposed to not give your opponent an opportunity after you let yours go. It's not supposed to be a turn-based type thing, which I commend and applaud Jermell Charlo for doing. But at the same time, I also felt that the punches might have been getting to him a little bit, but I never really seen the full effects of that. And then you could see his power start to really carry the night. He started landing those counter hooks. One of them was a little behind the head, the first one, where Rosario went down. But every other one that he landed, when he hurt him the second time, were all clean in the front, right on the chin or the temple, actually, is where he caught him the second time. And then obviously the finisher was that crazy jab to the body. Now, a lot of people were saying, man, he took money or this and that. But look, nobody's going to, react that way. And that, honestly, that reaction, I just don't think it was too fake. I just think that he caught him in an awkward situation. It was a hard jab to the body, and people don't really understand. A lot of casual people watch and say, oh, it was not but a straight left hand to the body, a jab to the body. That shouldn't have really hurted him that much. But listen, let me tell you, if you get hit with a certain people back in the day, like when you look at Larry Holmes' jab, or I like to say Ike Cortez' jab, because a lot of people, I remember he fought a guy from my city, Ralph Tiger Jones, and he came and told us that Ike Cortez' jab felt like a straight right hand. So I don't know about how Jermell Charlo's jab is, as far as if it's that hard, but the effects of that jab to the body that you've seen on Rosario, you would think so. You know what I mean? And I think the way he turned it in, the velocity in which he did it, and just the timing might have been what really, really caught him at an awkward position. And when he went down, he was panicking. Like, you could see the panic in his breathing, and he was like almost like not shaking, like he was knocked out, like his head hit the ground or anything. But his just, you could see his shoulders, him trying to find the breath, and he just couldn't find it. You know what I mean? And he just couldn't get up. He tried to get up, and you see him grab the rope, and it's just like, man, I can't move, And it's a hell of a thing, man, when you really just can't find your breathing. That's a scary thing, I can imagine. So I think a lot of people looking at that fight and thinking that it was some money behind that, or, he was just giving up. I really don't think so. I think he was still fighting like he wanted to win and just got caught with a hell of a shot.
Yeah, and I'm going to just give my real quick assessment of that fight. Obviously, you mentioned the knockdown in the first round for Charlo. For me, it seemed to be like, he threw a left hook. It seemed to, for me, graze kind of off the top of Rosario's head, like around the temple area. Obviously, it knocked his balance off. He went down. Rounds kind of 2, 3, 4, and 5, I felt were very, very competitive. They were subjective. Right. Obviously, the second knockdown as well came in round 6. That's when Rosario got caught square on with a left hook from Charlo. Again, the left hook was on point from Jermell. And, he also hit him with a right hand just to kind of knock him over a little faster in that one. And his feet were only squared up for half a second. And that's the thing about, the Charlo twins. You give them an opportunity, 9 times out of 10, they'll take it with both hands. He caught him perfectly. The timing was amazing of the shot, and then obviously the 8th round, the final round, the knockout with that jab to the body. I don't know, man. It's hard to, because you watch it back as many times as you want. He could have been breathing out at the time, perhaps. I don't know, but it's almost like he must have broken a rib or something. He was down. He was in lots of pain. The shot, like we said, didn't look like too much, but again, it was a little bit Josh Taylor-esque from earlier on in the evening, which I know you didn't see that, but it's weird because I've never quite seen anything like that before, and we see it happen twice in the same night. It was bizarre. But on that kind of undercard, because it was a strange format, they put, it was like 2 main events. It was like 2 different cards in the same arena, one after the other. It was very weird. But we spoke about Jermell. Let's go over to the other main event. I'm going to speak here about Jermall Charlo, now 31-0, a unanimous decision over 12 rounds against Sergei Derevianchenko, who's now 13-3. Of course, that one was for the WBC World Middleweight title. We spoke about this. We felt, well, I felt anyway, that Charlo, I didn't expect him to stop Derevianchenko because he's been in there with Golovkin and Daniel Jacobs, but a very, very good win again. I'm going to fly through these rounds. The first round, for me, Jermall Charlo round, it was cagey. Neither man were really overcommitting. Charlo's jabs, I felt, snatched him the round. He went on to work his jab excellently throughout the fight. Round two, again, I was really enjoying Charlo's work with his left hand. He tripled up the left hook at one point. Derevianchenko just seemed so small next to Charlo, and it just made me think, how the hell did Jermall once upon a time make 154? He was huge in there next to Derevianchenko. Third round, another dominant round for Charlo. The power jab was working excellently. Derevianchenko was having trouble working him out and even getting past that jab. Charlo did manage to rock Derevianchenko late on in the round, but there was only about 5 seconds left. Derevianchenko was able to get through the round. Charlo again was setting a real high pace. Moving into round 5, at that point I had, Charlo in total control, really. Round 5, I thought Derevianchenko started to have some success. I'm not sure it was enough to win him that round, but it was certainly a good sign after he'd been, in my opinion, largely dominated in the previous rounds. Round 6, Derevianchenko, he suffered a cut on the right eye. It was another round where Derevianchenko was coming forward, putting the pressure on Charlo, making him work. He was having some success, but again, I wasn't sure that it was enough to give him the round. Round 7 and 8 I gave to Charlo. He also rocked Derevianchenko in the final kind of seconds of round 8. And then just really from that point onwards, 9, 10, 11, 12. Derevianchenko did come on strong. It seemed like Charlo ran out of gas for a little bit, but Charlo did seem to get somewhat of a second wind. He seemed to finish strong. So did Derevianchenko. He kind of had his best moments in the later part of the fight, and it was a fun fight, and it's one of those fights I think it'll probably take a bit out of both men. But no, a solid win for Jermall Charlo, even though he didn't get the stoppage, and it was kind of expected, I guess, in most people's eyes that he'd win on points against Derevianchenko or even lose. It was a tough fight. I'm not going to say it wasn't. He's gone up in my estimations, man. That's one of his best wins. That's potentially his best win, actually, of his career. I want to see him in there with these names. Before, I would have favoured guys over him if he would to step in the ring with them, and I'm not saying I've changed my mind. Maybe he'd still lose to these other guys like Golovkins, like your Jacobs, like your Andrades, like your Canelos. But after that performance there, I'm actually I'm not sure. I actually think I see someone tweet something that his style's all wrong for Canelo, and people were laughing, but I was sitting there thinking, do you know what? I don't know about all wrong for Canelo, but it's a fight I'd love to see. I think he's got a great chance in that fight, Jermall. I really do. Touching on the other fights from the undercard, because it was a great undercard, I'm going to talk about Daniel Roman, his fight against Juan Carlos Payano, obviously two guys being former world champions, and Daniel Roman's debut with PBC. For me, though, Payano fought excellently in the majority of the rounds and arguably was beating Roman at his own game at times. He was putting the pressure on. Roman did seem to get a second win late on, which seemed to swing the fight into his favour, but it was a lot of people at the end of it felt like Payano was robbed and stuff like that. I'm not quite sure I'd go as far to say that. Roman did also drop Payano on the bell for the end of the fight, and the referee didn't count it because he said it was after the bell, despite replays showing it wasn't. So that should have been a 10-8. And it was an important thing because everyone was saying, "Oh, this is really close. That 10-8 could have won the fight for Roman." It ended up, I guess, being a 10-9, but he ended up not needing it on the scorecards. It was quite wide in the end, which was a little bit surprising. I think two of the judges had Roman up by 4 points, something like that. Not a lot of people agreed with that. Also on the bill, we got to see one of my favourite young fighters, Brandon Figueroa, successfully defend his WBA World Super Bantamweight title against Damian Vasquez. Vasquez a tough guy, you know, but Figueroa, made of some different stuff, 21-0, like I say, with a draw. He is a bit of a savage, he really is. You know, I love watching him fight. As I say, it's something with these Figueroa brothers. They always, you know, bring the action. The early rounds were competitive, but, you know, once both men kind of got in the second half of the fight, it was Figueroa who was pulling away, and it turned more and more into a dogfight, and he was starting to make a mess of Vasquez's face. During round 9, the referee pulled the pair apart so aggressively, and I've not seen this before. The referee pulled the pair apart so aggressively that he actually pushed Figueroa down on the canvas. But anyway, someone on Twitter reminded me of the time, Eddie, I'm sure you remember, when when Mills Lane pushed Bernard Hopkins out the ring.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. But the referee on this occasion, he put Figueroa down, but he got his act together. He decided to stop the fight in the end. Like I say, the 10th round. People on Twitter were disgusted by how long it took the referee and the corner of Vasquez to stop the fight, because he was starting to get bludgeoned in there. But no, another good win there for Figueroa. Also on the card, Luis Nery moved to 31-0. Not a defense, it was for the vacant WBC World Super Bantamweight title. He beat the previously undefeated Aaron Alameda, who, by the way, a lot of people again thought Alameda deserved the decision. I wasn't too sure, but Luis Nery seemed to get it really wide on the cards in the end. A unanimous decision on one card by 8 points. That didn't seem right. Luis Nery, once again, world champion. I think that's his second or third reign now. He keeps losing it off the outside of the ring, stuff like that. And the final fight to mention as well on that card was the fight between Jonril Casimero and Duke Micah. Jonril Casimero, the Filipino fighter, was defending his WBO World Bantamweight title. It was his 30th win. He's got those 4 losses, and he took on the previously undefeated Duke Micah, 24-0 from Ghana. Brilliant win for Casimero. He dropped Micah in I think it was the first round. It might have been the second round. And Micah got back up, but his legs were just incredibly unsteady. And, he saw out the rest of the round on these, on these unsteady legs. And even at one point, he missed wildly with a shot himself, and he fell on the floor. He tried to carry on. His legs were all over the place. He made it through that round. He went back to the corner, and he had that minute in between rounds, obviously, at the end of that round. And then when the next round started, the referee at that point decided to bring the doctor in to just briefly check him over, ask him where his finger's moving, if it's going left and right, stuff like that. And the commentators were saying the referee shouldn't be doing this during the next round. He's had so much time to recover now. He's had the minute in between rounds. It should have been done then. So he had even more time. Anyway, when the referees, let the action continue, he's still on unsteady legs from about a minute and a half earlier, and it didn't really take Casimero long to finish his man at that point. He landed a clean left uppercut, and referee Steve Willis stopped the fight, and Casimero celebrated by dropping down and doing some one-armed push-ups. If that's not I don't even know, that's showing off. You don't need to do that. Most people can't do that on their best days, Eddie. Especially not after a fight. Doing one-arm press-ups.
Yeah.
Casimero, though, he's the real deal, which we knew. Duke Micah hadn't really boxed anyone. It was his first step up, and hopefully he'll learn from that and he can come again. And the final card to mention of the review part, it took place in the Production Park Studios in South Kirkby, Yorkshire, United Kingdom. This one took place yesterday evening. I'm going to start with the undercard. Stephen Ward, he's moved up to cruiserweight, if I'm not mistaken. He was obviously previously at light heavy. He managed to get in there with a guy that was only 5-5, but he was testing the waters there at cruiserweight. Stephen Ward looked pretty good. He won on points over 6 rounds. He's now 13-1. Also on the bill, it was the other leg, or whatever, the other sector, the other section, the other side of the Golden Contract light heavyweight semi-finals. Liam Conroy got stopped in 4 rounds by Serge Michel. I think it's Sergey Michel. Conroy was down once in the 3rd round and twice in the 4th. So yeah, Conroy has been upset there, and Hosea Burton. So they put on this great tournament, MTK, with various guys from the UK, various guys from, other parts of Europe, stuff like that. And I guess we were all hoping for a British, an all-British final, or at least one British fighter in the final, but Hosea Burton's lost to Ricard Bolotniks, I think from Latvia, and Liam Conroy loses to Sergey Michel, so now it's going to be Michel against Bolotniks in the final, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But I don't think many people are going to be too interested in watching that now. It's just, either guy, they're not big names. There's no Brits in the tournament. It's a shame that both the Brits lost at the semi-final stage, but it is what it is. Talking of, though, the final, this one was of the Super-Lightweight tournament, the Golden Contract tournament. Tyrone McKenna against O'Hara Davies for the WBC International Super-Lightweight title. O'Hara Davies managed to win a majority decision over 10 rounds. The referee, John Latham, he was refereeing the fight and scoring it. One of the 3 judges anyway, he was one of the 3 judges. He gave it a draw. The other 2 judges outside the ring, Mark Lyson and Howard Foster, gave it 6 rounds to 4 in favour of O'Hara Davies. So he seemed to be the rightful winner in my eyes, even though a lot of people had it the other way. It was very close anyway. Definitely wasn't a robbery like we're hearing from certain people on Twitter, but yeah, good win there for O'Hara Davies. Not quite sure who he's going to be getting this big contract with. Obviously, he's been with Matchroom. It doesn't look like it's going to be them. So I'm not sure who it's going to be. It's interesting, but we shall see. He was the rightful winner. Tyrone McKenna, to be honest, was very lucky to even be in the finals. I think he lost the semi-final, but, got very favoured heavily on the cards by the judges that night. But anyway, that's it though for the review part of the show. Like I say, there was a lot to go over there. Regis Prograis is our sole guest on this week's podcast. After I bring him in and I do the interview with him in just a few seconds, we'll close the show out with the preview part of the show. So yeah, that's it for part 1. That's it for the reviewing. Just before we wrap up the reviewing part, the final thing to do is to welcome our sole guest on this week's podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former WBA Super-Lightweight World Champion. It is, of course, Mr. Regis Prograis. Regis, welcome back on the show, my man.
Oh, thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Obviously, our listeners get to hear you on the intro every week anyway. The swamp monster. The monster from the swamps, I should say. Anyway, Regis, we last spoke in late February. It was right before, obviously, this global pandemic that seemed to just take the world by storm. What has life been like for you during these unprecedented times? Obviously, you've had some personal issues going on, of course, that you spoke about before.
Right. Yeah, bro. I mean, it's been up and down, just like life is, what I'm saying? There's nothing I can really complain about like that, it's just a lot of up and down stuff. I had my grandpa passed, a few weeks ago, so that, of course, that was tough and it was crazy. He had just came to my house. Him and my grandma it was just at my house playing cards and having a good time. And, he went back to New Orleans and I think it was like 2 weeks he was there and, he died. I think he had a stroke. And so now, my grandma is staying with us and, she's taking it hard, because they was married for 60 years. So she was taking it real hard. She's getting, we go day by day with her, but she was getting a little better and stuff like that. But some days she's good, some days she's bad. But that's kind of what's going on with me. And, life still, besides all that, life is still good. And, I just been training the whole time, man, since the pandemic. I talked to you since the pandemic, before the pandemic, during the pandemic, which is now, I've been training the whole time, A lot of people, I had a few interviews and they asked me, do you think do I think I will have ring rust? And I was just like, nah, I don't think so, because I've been training. I literally just been training the whole time, I had a few fights that I had the 2 training camps with the Maurice Hooker thing. They fell out, and I was supposed to fight. I remember I was supposed to fight somebody else, and then I was supposed to fight. I had like a month notice to fight, and I've been in training camp sparring ever since. So, that's the main thing, man. Staying busy, and but life will hit you. That's just how it is. Life will hit you, give you ups and downs, but it's just all about keep pushing. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously I'm sorry to hear about your grandpa. At the time, you're right in saying, at the time when we last spoke, you were scheduled to fight Maurice Hooker. It was a fight everyone was looking forward to. Does it look like that fight's kind of gone now? It's disappeared? It's probably not going to get rescheduled?
Nah, that's not happening. No, that's definitely not happening. I have a fight already scheduled. It's not happening right now. It could potentially happen in the future one day, but as far as right now, nah, that's definitely not happening. He's going to 147, and that's his plans. He wants to go to 147. I think he actually has a fight scheduled at 147. Yeah, that fight is scrapped away, and whatever. But yeah, that was just his plans. His plans was to go to 147, and my plans is to be a champion again at 140 before I move up to 147. So I guess we just had different plans, and whatever. So it's definitely not happening right now.
Yeah, fair enough. And before we get onto your fight that's penciled in, I want to ask you this, because I know what you're like, and you like to do a lot of crazy outdoor activities. I've seen you chasing alligators and many more crazy things. I want to ask you this. This is a fun kind of question. Have you got like a crazy to-do list of things that you want to get done at some point?
You know what? That list is too long, bro. I ain't gonna lie, man. That fucking list is super long, man. I got my mind just runs, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie, my mind just fucking runs and runs and runs all day long about things I want. I won't even say crazy to-do list. I just want to do, bro, I ain't gonna lie, like, I'll see something on Instagram or something, or somebody show me a video, I'm like, I'm doing that. I want to do that, like, that's just me. That's just how I am, I want to do so much shit, I did a lot of different things already, and, I do a lot of dangerous stuff, man, and I think, you know what, I think I might be getting a little older now, because I'm like, I still have the stomach to do it, but I think about it a little more, you know what I'm saying, I fucking drove my car. The fastest I ever drove my car was miles an hour. That's fucking flying. That's crazy to even think about. Think about that. Like, I did that. I drove my car miles an hour. I drive on the regular. I drive my car like on the regular, and I didn't roll my damn dirt bike. I got a big ass dirt bike. I rode the fucking dirt bike like probably, I think it goes to like miles an hour. I rode that damn thing with no fucking helmet on, no nothing on. I swam with alligators, bro. I didn't swam with sharks in the ocean. I swam with alligators and shit. Like, at my house, I swam with fucking sharks in the ocean. I swam with like sea lions and shit when I was living in LA. I did all kinds of shit, bro. And so it's just like, yeah, when I see some stuff, it's just like, I just want to do. I'll see some shit like that. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. And it's just, I think, my daddy, he told me, he was like, I'm just like a thrill seeker. That's what I am, So that's just how I am, bro. But I just want to do so much. It's just so much. I want to do. I look at things and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I want to do this. I want to do that. And fuck, that's just me.
Damn, and I'm feeling bad out here driving 31 in a 30 zone. But,
right. Oh, yeah, believe me, I got a lot of speeding tickets. I ain't gonna lie. I still got pending speeding tickets right now from my fucking speeding and shit like that.
Damn. But anyway, moving on to the boxing, Regis, this fight that's being reported online, it's been penciled in, I believe, October 24th against the undefeated Juan Heraldez on this Santa Cruz Davis undercard. What do you know about Heraldez, Regis? Another decent fighter.
Yeah, another decent fighter, man. He's I think 16-0, 10 knockouts, man. He's a decent fighter, bro. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't think he's on the level I am on. I'm world championship type level. I don't think he's on that level, but at the same time, I'm not putting nothing past nobody. Like, I have to be out. for me, I have to dominate. You know, like with this fight, I have to go out and just dominate from opening bell to opening bell. I can't give them nothing. You know, like and that's just kind of how I feel, man. Like, so I've been busting my ass in the gym every single day, and you know, not just in the gym, outside the gym. I've been just doing right and doing what I gotta do. So, as far as I don't really know too much about him. Now I watch a few of his films and stuff like that. And I mean, this fight been pending for a while now, so I've been knowing about it. We just couldn't announce it, but you know, this fight been pending for a little while now. But yeah, I've been watching his films a lot, and I see what he does and stuff. You know, so I think he's a good fighter, but I have to put on the performance. You know, I want to be a world champion again at 140, and if I don't dominate, if I don't do what I got to do, I won't get that shot again. So I have to go out there and dominate. And like I said, it's nothing like against him, but it's just like it's for me personally. This is what I have to do. I want to be a world champion again at 140, and this is like a stepping stone basically.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He's 16-0. He's got one draw in his last fight to former world champion Argenis Mendez. It was a majority draw over 10 rounds. But no, he's a decent fighter. He boxed Errol Spence in the amateurs. If I'm not mistaken, you've now parted ways with your former promoter, Regis, Lou DeBella. You've signed, if I'm not mistaken, a one-fight deal with PBC. Tell us about that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that was just, I mean, me and Lou, we you know, I always got love for Lou, man. Lou picked me up when nobody wanted me. Like, honestly, like I was at a point when I first came out the amateurs, and I fought in Olympic trials, and nobody wanted me. Nobody wanted me at all. And after my 10th fight, Lou, he took a gamble, and he promoted me, and he signed me and stuff like that. And I became, like a household name in the boxing community, and I became a world champion under Lou. So I always be grateful to Lou. But it's just I feel like now it's just a different part of my just a different chapter in my life. That's all. So now I'm going. I have this one fight deal with the PBC banner, and we're gonna see how it goes from there. And then get the biggest best fights for the biggest money. And in the biggest names, and I feel like this new chapter in my life that's gonna happen. Get just way bigger opportunities, and that's kind of what I'm looking for.
And I only want you to answer this if you can answer this, Regis. But this one fight deal, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like what Mikey Garcia did when he came back off that layoff, where he didn't really want to long-term commit to any major network or major promoter. Was this your was this like more your terms, or was it more their terms? You don't have to answer if you can't answer.
You know what? Let's not answer that because I don't want to do the wrong thing. I don't want my manager bitching at me. So let's not.
That's fine.
Maybe let's not answer.
We don't want to upset Sam. Right. We don't want to upset Sam. Moving on.
Yeah, I don't want to upset Sam. I don't want to see the wrong shit.
Moving on to the next question. Did you get a chance to see Josh Taylor's win on the weekend over his mandatory?
Man, you know what? It was so fast. I tried to put it on and it was gone. So I mean, I saw the knockout shot. I did see the body shot and stuff like that, but it was so. It was so quick. My friends in New Orleans, they called me and it was like, man, you watching Josh Taylor fight? I was like, oh shit. And I had just got back inside and I was trying to put it on, but shit, it was before I can change the channel. It was over. So I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah. And Jose Ramirez, again, he got a win over Victor Postol a few weeks back. I personally thought Postol won the fight. Not everyone agrees with me, but that's another story.
You know what? I kind of, you know what? Like, it's my trainer, Bobby thought the same thing. Bobby thought that Postol won. It was a close fight. I kind of could say Postol won, but it depends on what the judges looking like, what they're looking at. But, of course, they're not going to give it to him. We all know that that's not going to happen. They're not going to give it to him and stuff like that. So, but, yeah, I mean, he boxed him. It proves that, how Ramirez, if you got somebody slick in the box in front of him, you just, of course, you can't go in there and bang with him. He's fucking strong. He's strong to the body, and he has a high punch tolerance. But you go out there and you pop him, like you can. I mean, it could be it could potentially be an easy night, So I kind of thought, Postol won also, but it all depends on what you're looking at.
Yeah, there was some funky scorecards on the night, but I was quite surprised of how easy Postol was able to land the 1-2 time and time again. A straight 1-2, very simple shots. Do you still favour Taylor if we do get to see the undisputed fight?
Yeah, I definitely, for sure. You know, I mean, listen, bro, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think the only person that could beat Josh Taylor is me. You know, that's the only person I think that could beat him. I don't think Ramirez can beat him. Now, I personally, I just don't. You know, if Ramirez, I mean, the thing is, you know, Josh Taylor, he has a set of nuts on him, so he'll go out there and he might try to bang it out with Jose Ramirez, because, you know, I think Josh Taylor has a little temper too, so he might try to go out there and bang it out with him just to prove a point. But I think he can make it he might can make it an easy night, man. Like, he's a southpaw, just like I am. And Zepeda, you know, just, he kind of boxed around him. As a southpaw, I mean, you can't even say a southpaw that can beat him now, because, you know, Postol just boxed around him too, you know. So, I mean, I think he has trouble with those type of fighters, like a slick, not even slick, because Postol's not really that slick, but just somebody that moves, pops out the jab and moves around. I think he'll have trouble with him, you know. So, when that fight does happen, hopefully it does happen for the undisputed, and when that fight does happen, then, you know, I definitely favor Josh Taylor.
Yeah, we hope it does end up happening. I remember the time when you were also linked with the Postol fight, which of course never happened, which was a shame. You mentioned Zepeda there. It is Baranchyk Zepeda fight week, Baranchyk being your former stablemate. How do you see that fight going? Do you have any interest in that fight at all?
I mean, I'll watch it. You know, I think it's a good fight, man. You got a lot of good fights at 140 right now. I mean, you know, Baranchyk is a former world champion. He's strong as shit. You know, it's gonna be hard. I'm not gonna lie, man. It's gonna be hard for Zepeda to keep Baranchyk off him. You know, Baranchyk is fucking strong, and he's gonna keep coming forward. He only has that loss to Josh Taylor also. So, I mean, it's gonna be hard for Zepeda to, you know, keep him off. And, you know, I don't know how powerful Zepeda is, you know, how strong he is and stuff like that to be able to keep off Baranchyk. You know, you gotta have some power to keep off Baranchyk, because even Josh Taylor, you know, he's strong and he has power, and Baranchyk just kept coming. He dropped him a few times and he still kept coming. So, I mean, that's gonna be one hell. That's gonna be a good fight. It's definitely. I have interest in watching that fight. It'll be a good fight.
Yeah, I agree. It will be interesting. And just before we wrap it up, Regis, if you've got any closing words just to your UK supporters, obviously I say this all the time when we speak. You've got a ton of fans over here. Unite yourself. What's your message to those guys?
Man, I love them, man. I love the UK fans, man. Hopefully, you know, one day I'll be back over there. Hopefully, you know, we get the Josh Taylor rematch. Although I wouldn't want it to be not the Josh Taylor rematch. I definitely want the Josh Taylor rematch to be over here in the United States, but, you know, I definitely would want to fight there again. The UK, man, it was over 20,000 people in the O2 that night. I loved it. I had a blast. But I still didn't get to do everything I want to do over there. You know, I had a blast, but I was in training camp and stuff when I was over there. So I couldn't really do, you know, the things that I really want to do. So, you know, hopefully one day I'll come back to London, come back somewhere and then, you know, go on a little vacation to the UK. And, you know, but I definitely support, I love the UK fans, man. And I always said I want to fight over there, you know. So that was my dream, to always fight in the UK. I did it. And, you know, because y'all real boxing fans over there. So I just thank everybody for supporting me, and like I said, you know, I'm coming back, and just hopefully everybody, you know, that they get the pay-per-view October 24th, and I'm back. I'll be back.
We will certainly be tuning into that, Regis, and we can't wait for you to come back over here, whether it's Lewis Ritson, whether it's Josh Taylor. We definitely want to see you back. But listen, Regis, you already know I appreciate you, my friend. Best of luck with this upcoming fight. Thank you for your time, and we'll no doubt speak right after.
Always. Thanks, bro.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. Like I did on last week's show, I'm going to save the news for the very end, just in case anything develops from now till then. So I'm going to do the news at the very, very end of the show, on the outro when I'm signing out. It's now time for the preview part. Just before we get into that, though, I've been kind of thinking in my head about introducing some kind of I was thinking initially about some kind of little fun segment where I could perhaps quiz Eddie's boxing knowledge. However, I haven't told you about this, so you're finding out about it now, but I was trying to kind of put together some boxing facts and stuff like that, and throw them all at you unexpected, one after the other one time. But rather than that, I think I'm going to ask you like a tough question each week. Mm-hmm. And I'd appreciate if the listeners could help me with this. So if you know any weird, quirky facts, tweet them to me on Twitter, or perhaps just direct message them to me, just so Eddie can't see the answer and cheat. If you can send them to me on Twitter or via Instagram at BoxHard Podcast. If it's good, I'll definitely give you an honourable shout out, an honourable mention, and I will ask your question to Eddie, and it'll be interesting. So. Obviously, I've asked. I'm going to throw one at you here, Eddie. Anyway, I've asked you this before, and you knew. I thought it was a good one, but I remember asking you before. Where did Antonio Tarver make his debut? You knew that was the Blue Horizon.
Right.
I'm going to give you one here. You might know this. If you know this and it's real easy, then I'm going to ask you the next one. So I'm going to give you one hard one this week at least. Who was the first? By the way, these are largely heavyweight based, so I'm making it a little bit easy for you. You should know these.
I wouldn't say that because I was always watching the lighter weight guys, but some heavyweights too. But we'll see. It's boxing.
Who was the first heavyweight world champion who was a southpaw?
Damn, the first southpaw?
First southpaw heavyweight world champion. Please don't say Charles Martin.
Oh, God, no. I would definitely say Chris Berg before I say Charles Martin, because Chris Berg was actually a southpaw heavyweight champion. But something tells me it was before that. Or was it?
No, it was before that.
I'm trying to think of southpaws. Freak. Southpaw.
I could give you a fat clue. I really could. But I'm gonna let you struggle for a few more seconds. Go on.
No. Why do you like hearing me struggle? Yo, give me the clue, man.
All right, the clue is you're gonna get this in one. It's too good of a clue. Okay, so you sparred him.
Oh wow, Michael Moore.
Yes, sir.
He was the. Yeah, you know what? Why did I not think of that before?
Yeah.
He was the first southpaw. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, I guess so. I do remember there was like a story behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So he was the first heavyweight champion of the world that was a southpaw. So that was too good of a clue. I should have pretended I didn't even have a clue. But
when you said sport, I've sparred a lot of southpaws, but
yeah, but southpaw heavyweight world champions. You probably have you ever sparred Chris Bird?
No.
Okay.
So yeah, that kind of narrowed it down.
Yeah, that really really narrowed it down. Anyway, there's going to be another tough question. I've only got about 2 more. So I'll save that for next week and the week after, and hopefully in those 2 weeks I can think of some others. Or again, we'd love your help. Make it interesting, make it fun, and we can see what Eddie knows. It'll be interesting. Anyway, leaving that little quiz segment there, moving on to the preview part. Very, very short this is going to be. 2 cards to mention. One takes place at the Bubble in the MGM Grand, Las Vegas, Nevada. Obviously, this one's on the Saturday night. Heavyweight, undefeated Italian heavyweight Guido Vianello, sparring partner of Tyson Fury, 7-0. He's in a 6-rounder against Kingsley Ibe. Kingsley Ibe's 5-1. His one loss, he actually avenged it. So I don't know how good he is. I've never seen him fight, but that's over 6 rounds there. The main event really is the best fight on the card by far. It's Jose Zepeda, obviously a super lightweight, world contender, 32-2. It's for the vacant WBC silver super lightweight title. He takes on former world champion Ivan Baranchyk, 20-1. That's going to be a brilliant fight there over 12 rounds. Thoroughly looking forward to that one at the Bubble in the MGM Grand. And the final card to mention actually takes place on Sunday. I'm guessing, it's going to be obviously evening over here, but Sunday afternoon, your sort of time, Eddie. Over here, it's actually happening at the Marshall Arena, which is in Milton Keynes, United Kingdom. Couple good fights on the card. We get to see Akib Fiaz, 5-0. He's in an 8-rounder against Kane Baker, who's 13-6. That fight was supposed to take place before. Obviously, it fell through at the last moment. It's now been rescheduled. Here it is. There's now a bit of bad blood out of nowhere because of that. We've also got the savage Alan Babich, 4-0, the heavyweight. He takes on Ireland's very own Niall Kennedy, who's 13-1 with a draw. That's over 8 rounds there. Linus Udofia, 15-0. This one's for the English middleweight title. He takes on John Harding Jr. Obviously, I think he's managed by Dillian White. 8-1 with a draw over 10 rounds there. Great fight. I really, really like that one. There's a women's world title fight on the card. Chantel Cameron, 12-0. Her first fight, I believe, with Matchroom. She takes on Adriana dos Santos Arroyo, who's 6-0, undefeated. I think she's been quite inactive. Not too sure. I know she's up there in age, and I'm seeing she's only 6-0, so not sure the story behind that. But anyway, that's over 10 2-minute rounds there for the vacant WBC World Female Super-Lightweight title. Chantel Cameron, for me, probably my favourite female fighter to watch. She is all guns blazing, loves a war. Obviously, her name's Chantel Cameron. Her nickname is Wham Bam. Her nickname is Wham Bam Shan, because she likes to. That's what she does. Wham Bam. She's very exciting. And topping the bill, Joshua Buatsi, 12-0. Obviously, the Olympic bronze medalist. He's fighting here for it's his belt. He's defending here his WBA International Light Heavyweight title. He takes on a guy called Marko Kalic, who isn't a bad fighter at all. Not many people, in terms of, casual fans, would know who he is, but he's 11-0 with 6 KOs as a professional. He was a decent amateur. He boxed in the World Series of Boxing, the WSB. He's been in there with a lot of guys in the amateurs. Tavel Pulev, obviously the younger brother of Kubrat Pulev. He's also actually beaten the savage Alan Babich twice, I believe, as an amateur. He lost to him as well in another fight, but he's beaten him a couple times. And remember, he is, really and truly a light heavyweight. I think he was boxing as a heavyweight in the amateurs, whatever. But yeah, decent fighter. That's not going to be easy, I don't think, for Joshua Buatsi there. I'd be very surprised if Buatsi was to stop him. That'd be quite a statement, even though I don't think he's going to get the credit from certain people, because like I say, a lot of people don't know who this guy is. But that's a great fight. It really is. I hope that Buatsi does get the credit for winning that fight, if indeed he wins it. And I think there's going to be a big one for him if he gets through it. I think there's a big fight for him on the Anthony Joshua Kubrat Pulev undercard in December, so we shall see. But anyway, that's it for the previewing. Like I say, not much to go over there, only 2 cards to mention. We did the review part. Regis Prograis was absolutely excellent in that interview there. I love speaking with him. Honestly, one of my favourite fighters to interview. We're going to do the news at the very end, which will be probably in about 30 seconds time from now. We did the preview part, the little quiz thing we did with Eddie there, the little unexpected quiz question. We want your help with that. At BoxHard Podcast, send in the hardest questions you can find for him. And just before I sign out, Eddie, I just want to say thanks to you once again for helping me, which you've done time and time again. Actually, IAS hasn't done a podcast for over 6 months now. You've pretty much been filling in almost every week during this pandemic, so thanks once again. I've said it a million times. I'll always be in debt to you, how thankful I am for the stuff you've done for me, not just with this, but other stuff outside of this. I appreciate you as a human being, as a friend, more than I think I'll ever be able to express.
Nah, man, I appreciate you too. There's a lot of things you've done for me, and just you being around and having me be a part of this thing is a good thing for me. Trust me. It gives me the opportunity to, speak to boxing fans, still be out in the public to a degree. And at the same time, you know, I'm keeping this friendship alive. We're staying in touch with each other. This is all good stuff for me too.
I love you, brother. Right, thank you very much, Eddie. It is now time to wrap up the show in just a few seconds from now. Thank you all for listening once again. Okay, and this wraps up episode 259 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A massive thank you to our sole guest on this week's podcast, the former WBA Super-Lightweight World Champion Regis Prograis. That's the first time I've ever had to bleep something out. Hopefully I don't have to do that again. There has been one or two pieces of news break whilst we've been recording the show. Matchroom have announced a fight card set to take place in Mexico on October 23rd. In which we'll get to see, topping the bill, Juan Carlos Estrada defending his WBC Super Flyweight World title in a rematch against former holder of the belt and, of course, former foe Carlos Cuadras. The undercard will feature Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, the spectacular Nicaraguan fighter, in search of win number 50 for him against Israel Gonzalez. So it's the battle of the Gonzalezes. You know, Israel Gonzalez, we know quite well. He gave Cal Yafai a hard fight. Some people thought he won that night there. That is a defense there of Chocolatito's WBA Super Flyweight World title, which he won from Yafai, of course. And there's also another world title fight on that card. Julio Cesar Martinez defends his WBC Flyweight World title against Maximino Flores. In other news, Lee Selby versus George Kambosos Jr. has been rescheduled. It's great to get to finally see that fight. That one's going to be a part of the Chisora Usyk undercard on October 31st. On the same night as that, but over in the States on the top ranked card, we get to see on the undercard of Inoue versus Maloney. On that undercard, like I say, we'll get to see Michaela Meyer finally fighting for a world title. She takes on the undefeated WBO Super Featherweight World Champion Eva Brodnicka. But that's about everything from myself. The biggest thanks of all, of course, goes out to you, the listeners, for tuning in this week. Week in, week out, I thank you all the time. You are the greatest listeners in the world. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we shall see you all again next week.